Cheating wife luxury life to Maid. Met a woman, model looks when cleaned up, young, fun and just my dream type. I loved her like nothing else and I spoiled her. Rotten. After a few years I learned she had a boyfriend, found out whom it was. He tried to keep her but his income and future was dimmer than his brain, so she ultimately stayed with me instead. Stupidly I forgave her and kept her. After about 5 years found out she had another BF. This time I learned she was paying for his truck, clothes, watches and was constantly paying for everything for him. This was deeply insulting. Knowing she could take me to the cleaners in a divorce, I decided to sell everything off. After each sale I explained the business moves I made us big profits and she was gonna cut. I didn't explain I was selling off everything. She never wanted to know the details and actually helped by stating that during divorce litigation. In one business move she got a car in one sale, phones, shopping and a vacation with her sister, her husband, and of course she took her BF all on the money she from business transactions, as I called them. I stayed behind. When she went on that vacation with her sister, brother-in-law and her boyfriend. After a few years I was liquidated. She always got cuts of everything. Moved many assets to LLC with family buying or selling it just enough for her to get a cut. She spent all of her shares. Finally I filed for bankruptcy and lost all businesses but one. Sold the house and downsized. Our income on one business was so low we lived paycheck to paycheck. Sold our cars and the RV. Finally she had had enough and asked me for a divorce. Her boyfriend called me to brag that he spent my money and was using my money to pay for his truck while he ran through my wife while I was dealing with my failing businesses. I laughed and made him repeat his first and last name. He described his truck and when he got it along with other details and she was paying for it all with her share. I recorded the call. All calls are recorded. Long story short, she essentially was bankrupting our income with while we had failing businesses. She couldn't handle losing so much income, so she wanted a divorce. After recovery I was able to buy back 2 of businesses thanks to family whom bought me out and kept them afloat with LLC protection and their management. Now she is with a child, cleaning houses with her sister's maid service and no father in the picture of her child. I saw her at a New Year's party. She was serving food at the banquet. She ignored me. It's okay, I loved seeing her. I've never seen her BF she cheated on me with ever again except when he would bring her in the truck I paid for. But knowing she went from housewife to maid has been my only therapy for my own mistakes. The trust and for spoiling her were my mistakes. Trusting her was my fault. Eventually she wanted to rebuild our marriage but I told her never ever again. Her smiles and cute outfits now just aren't enough for me. She was in her prime with me and her boyfriends. I've thought of hiring her services through her sister's business but I actually know she is lazy so I don't risk her coming to my business and doing a terrible job. Also I don't want her getting any more money from me in any way ever again. Redditor's reaction story 2 after. Redditor 1. So you went through years of intentionally ducking yourself over financially, just to file bankruptcy? For what exactly? To buy your wife's BF a truck? You put yourself into poverty so your wife would file for divorce? You're an idiot. You'd have taken less of an overall hit financially if you'd have just divorced her when you found out about the first BF. Not to mention squandering years of your youth and effort. You wasted the things that matter. You can always make more money. You can't make another minute of time or regain your youth. But hey, you got yourself some real choice revenge. Not. Redditor follow-up. Gotta love guys like this. I spent several years nuking my entire universe into oblivion and am just starting to pick up the pieces, but I made my ex-wife's life slightly inconvenient. She has no idea what I did either. Ha 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 ha. Pathetic. Story 2. Girlfriend cheated on me while overseas. Need advice. I need some advice. So my girlfriend and I were in a bad place for a good year. No time because I was having intimacy issues due to a penile condition. I told her at one point she could have time with other guys as long as it was only time because I sensed her growing timely frustrated she had a healthy time drive. She said to me she doesn't even want to think about that and just wants me to get better. Regardless, we were emotionally distant at the time due to me going through some mental health issues. I was also a gambling addict at the time and didn't tell her about this. 2 months later we grew even more emotionally distant and she said she wanted to go to Europe. She wanted me to come but I didn't want to. I asked her not to get with anyone over there as I'd been cheated on in the past and she said I had nothing to worry about. She was only meant to go there for a month but instead stayed for close to 3. I ignored her messages over there for 9 days at a time and hooked up with a girl here. I additionally forgot her birthday when she was there. When she got back, she revealed she had time with someone 1 month into the trip and kissed 2 other guys. She then broke up with me. She was too special to me to let go and I ended up fighting for her. We are now having the best time we've ever had and are back together exclusively. I can honestly say I love her, however, I'm still affected by her getting with 3 guys fairly recently and sometimes it takes me to a dark place. What is your opinion on the situation? Do you think it is okay what my girlfriend did given the circumstances? I know what I did was wrong, especially because there was no agreement in place for me to hook up with other people. Any advice appreciated. Thanks. Story 3. Finally I have the answer I needed. Folks, if your partner is a serial cheater, or operates in a manner you don't understand and isn't explained by other factors, they might be a narcissist. Narcissistic personality disorder or NPD is the clinical diagnosis, which is rare. Most narcissists never seek therapy and most never recover at all. NPD often develops due to trauma in childhood, often alongside a separate mental illness. And it covers a wide range of hurtful behavior. Lying, love bombing, cheating, controlling, secretive, withholding, manipulation and emotional abuse, rages, sexual violence, physical violence, irrationality, deflection, projection, the constant need for that new supply of attention, and so much more. These folks are dangerous and should always be avoided. There is simply no hope for them most of the time. It requires lifelong therapy. It was driving me crazy trying to figure my ex out, until I stumbled on some Facebook videos, like a key slipping into the lock. It's the answer for 95% of his behavior. It's a huge relief to finally know what he is. To know it wasn't me, to know my instincts that he's a piece of trash predator are valid AF. Just wanted to share my discovery in case anyone is struggling and hasn't considered narcissism. It's helped me so much. I hope everyone here has a great day. Story 4. My wife is upset at me for telling people about the affair and exposing the piece of trash AP to his family. My wife, who cheated on me with her boss at her old job, is mad at me for exposing the AP to his whole family and she's upset that I'm telling everyone. She left me on my birthday to be alone with him and they made out until the dude's wife got home. They were still talking and going to the movies together, going to his house, the gym with him, and he pretended to be my friend through the whole ordeal. She ducked on our anniversary and kissed me on my birthday after she had made out with him just a few minutes ago when I picked her up. She sent him nudes later. Turns out I texted her in the middle of her ducking this dude in the back of his car in the park where we took our wedding photos. Man, there's so much more, I don't even know what else to say. Like, this was really bad. On top of this, she was timiding other dudes she met on Whisper, posting about how she wanted time from someone who doesn't care about her even after this. He picked her up at our apartment. She dressed up in front of me and dropped her off while I was in the room, and came back home as he gently parked and gave her a kiss goodbye so she could run upstairs and kiss me hello. Oh, and when I texted her during the 10 minutes of time I didn't know about, I asked her if she was okay because she said she went out to go journaling. Her response was, yeah, just writing it all out. And now she's mad at me for exposing the affair partner? She's mad that I'm telling everyone? Why the duck is she complaining about the fact that she's so sad about this and no one will talk to her, but am getting in trouble and yelled at by her when I do tell people? 0% of this information was confessed by her. It was done by me by scraping the internet and texting her duck buddy. She only confessed when I knew everything. She talked it behind my back to him, which is the most hurtful part in my opinion. I saw the Snapchats of them flirting. That pain will never ever leave me. The words have been branded with a hot iron into my brain. Redditor's reactions. Story 5 after. Redditor 1. This sounds like you're not focusing on the right things. Why are you still with her? You already know enough to know your relationship can't ever be healthy with her because she has no respect for you. Cut her out of your life and let her go be terrible to someone else. Redditor follow up. Yes, this right here. Very strange. Very strange. It's almost like he's enjoying it. He seems more upset at this than the affair. Very strange. Redditor 2. The real issue is, what are you doing to move forward with your life? Clearly she is not a marriage material and you may face these kind of situation if you stay with her because it's not a you problem, it's a she problem. Do you want to spend your life with the fear of being cheated on again? Redditor 3. Of course she's mad. First, she would still be doing this if you hadn't caught her and spoiled her fun. This is important. She wasn't going to stop. Ever. In fact, she was escalating. Second, having been caught, she wanted to get away with absolutely no consequences whatsoever and doesn't like having her feet held to the fire. That was never meant to happen because you were never meant to find out. Third, it's easier to shout at you than to accept that she, herself, or at least the actions she chose to perform is the root source of her newly acquired suffering. Fourth, she can no longer control the narrative and paint you as the villain. You got in first, keep getting your story out. Her reaction can't hurt you. It's just a lot of hot air and noise without any real-world substance or consequence that will affect you in any tangible way. If you have to engage, then ask her, what did you think the consequences would be when I found out? How is what is happening any different from what you expected? She won't have a good answer, or if she tries, then it'll tell you everything you need to know. And you probably won't like the answer. Story 5, he gave me something to look forward to. Hello. This is a secondary account because it wouldn't be great if my wife stumbled onto this post. Long story short, I'm looking for some ideas on how to coexist in a large complicated family situation where my wife cheated on me and I absolutely can't leave the house. The situation is that we are both in our early 50s and have been together for over 30 years. We have 6 kids, including a son who is severely handicapped and would never be able to live anywhere but with us. The other kids kind of come and go as their lives change, jobs and college semesters and relationships end, etc. We have 2 left in high school who, theoretically, will be off to college in about 2 years, leaving just my wife and me here with our handicapped son. Important information here is that our son needs near constant supervision around the clock. He's not very mobile, but he is big and can get around, and if someone isn't there to redirect him, he could get hurt. On top of that, he hasn't slept more than 2 hours at a time probably ever in his life. It's completely exhausting for everyone involved. Other relevant info is that we live for free in a house owned by her parents at the back of a large piece of property. It's the house my wife grew up in. Her mom and dad built a new place on the other side of the property. Her family is amazing and supportive, and they help us out constantly. I work 4 12-hour shifts a week while my wife stays home, but we still divide our day into halves. I have Tony from midnight until noon every single day, and she has him from noon until midnight. That's usually when I'm at work. Did I mention it's exhausting? Anyway, I can go into the details of the story if anyone wants to hear it, but essentially one of my daughters caught my wife cheating on me a year ago. My daughter told me what she suspected, and I'm ashamed to say I didn't believe her. About a month after that, I caught her pretty much red-handed. She immediately confessed and tearfully told me that it didn't mean anything and that this guy just gave her something to look forward to. He's a ridiculous scumbag who lives in our neighborhood, by the way. We've met socially a few times. I know I can't settle up with him in any meaningful way, but I've definitely daydreamed about it. Sorry this is so long and disjointed, it hurts like hell to actually type all of this out. This whole thing went down a year ago and my wife has done everything humanly possible to make things right, but I can't get over it, and I also can't leave. Who would watch Tony? He won't ride in a vehicle, so if I left I'd still have to come back here every 12 hours, that would be no life at all. If my son wasn't in the picture I'd be long gone. It isn't that I don't love my wife and I forgive her, but I'll never, ever be able to forget her infidelity and how it all went down. If you made it this far, thanks for letting me vent. I'm pretty lonely since she, my former best friend, stabbed me in the back. Anyone see an off-ramp for me here? Update, sort of an update from that guy with the handicapped adult child and the cheating wife. I've gotten a bunch of messages from kind or maybe just curious folks here wondering if there's been any movement in my situation. And there's been a little, so I figured I'd sit down tonight and tap out a few paragraphs letting anyone who cares know what's going on. You can check my post history if you want all the details, but the short version is that my wife had an affair, got caught, and spent the next year jumping through all kinds of hoops to convince me to stay and to love her again. The thing is, I never stopped loving her, and I never will, but I absolutely can't ever trust her again, so our marriage is probably going to have to end. The fly in the ointment for us is that one of our kids is severely handicapped and it takes all of us, extended fam included, to wrangle him on a day-to-day basis. So, what's changed since my last post? I finally, after a year of this achingly painful limbo, told my wife that we needed to sit down together and figure this thing out. Living in the same house and being civil pleasant to one another just isn't sustainable anymore. I read and thought a lot about each and every message I received when I posted before, and one that really got to me was a person who kind of passive-aggressively asked me what kind of an example I was setting for my kids. I've always actively tried to teach them that actions have consequences, but here I sit today being a sad hypocrite. Anyway, before this becomes too long and unreadable, here's how that conversation went. As soon as we sat down, she started sobbing hysterically. She fully expected me to tell her that we are getting divorced. I told her that I am sick and tired of this limbo that we have been living in and that it is not fair to anybody involved. She just kept sobbing and asking what else she can do to fix us, but I told her that I just don't see a way back from this. The thing is that I could probably have found a way to forgive a one-night stand, or something along those lines. But the fact remains that she had a long, complicated, secretive affair. That affair could not have existed but for the 1,000 lies she had to tell, and I just can't get past that. Anyway, against the advice of pretty much everybody on this site, I agreed to go to a marriage counselor with her. During our first and only session I was admonished that I needed to be doing more to fight for my family. I told her that the way I saw things was that my wife gave our family away in exchange for some furtive orgasms, and our 50-minute session went downhill from there. On a positive note, during the car ride home, my wife and I shared the best and most genuine laugh we've had together in over a year when she pointed out that the therapist looked and sounded exactly like the secretary from Ghostbusters. We're going to try another counselor in December. I'll let y'all know how that goes. One kind of personal but interesting development is that my wife asked me so very nicely to return to our bedroom. She said that she hasn't slept well since I quit coming in there. She also told me that she wants us to start having S-time again. We did that evening and it was amazing. I told her before and after that the S-time didn't change anything substantive with our relationship, and she said she understands. She just said it was nice to be held again, and I kind of agree with her. We have been together for so long, and it just feels natural. Of course, about 5 minutes after we were done I couldn't help but think about her doing that with someone else, which kind of ruined the whole thing for me. But I kept my mouth shut. She also begged me to go through her phone, to prove she's not cheating again, I guess. I told her that I'm a cop for 48 hours a week already, and that I'm not interested in policing her text messages, too. It made me think though. I didn't offer my phone to her, but if she had asked for it, I would have handed it over to her. The only interesting thing she would have found is this alt Reddit profile. Food for thought. Sorry this got so long. I'm not optimistic that any of this changes anything, but it feels nice to be making some kind of progress, even that progress is in a direction that my wife doesn't want. Thanks for listening. Redditors' reactions. Redditor 1, it's confusing because based on the actions counseling, having sex seems to be going exactly where she wants it to go. Op answer, yeah, you're not wrong. The only real consequences for her so far have been some side eyes at church and the stress she's feeling from having to watch her family dissolve. Redditor 2, so not much progress at all. Your first couples counseling session is supposed to be more informal and to get some background. And y'all already devolved and you tried to cover it up with some sex? Of course it made you feel like garbage afterwards. You're not addressing any of the serious issues and simply trying to mask the trauma. By all means continue attempting couples counseling, but you better self-reflect and quit making decisions to set yourself on fire to keep her warm. The body always keeps the score and you've let so much time pass without managing the trauma that it becomes habit and ingrained. You really need to see your own therapist and have someone in your corner to talk things through, because it's quite clear you're making your pain and unhappiness with unhealthy coping mechanisms. Best of luck, but spend some time really reflecting on your own life and simply how unhappy you are willing to be the rest of your days to sacrifice for family. There always needs to be a plan B. I understand your adult son is a loving but difficult challenge, but what happens if you or her drop dead tomorrow? There will have to be some adjustments. That's more dramatic than one of you choosing to live separately and still helping co-parent on occasion. Op answer, brilliant feedback like this is exactly what I love about Reddit. If they could just get rid of the PRN and politics, this is the kind of incredibly valuable information and insight we could all share. Of course, PRN and politics are why everyone came here in the first place, I guess. There's so much wisdom and value here. I'm going to bookmark this and reflect on it tomorrow. It's gold, thank you. Redditor 3, dude. Once a cheater, always a cheater. If you want to continue with her despite everything, it's your decision, but the trust was broken. Every time she goes out without you with friends or shopping or whatever, there will always be a part of you thinking that she might be with another guy, maybe cheating on you because she already did it a few times. I do not recommend that you go back with her, but if you really want to fix your marriage, then I wish you luck. But if she betrays your trust again and she cheats on you again with another man, don't forgive her anymore and divorce her. Op answer, what's so completely crazy is that I don't get upset or anxious or whatever when she's not around because, well, she's already done the worst thing she could do to me. If she does it again, it doesn't really change the math. I can't easily leave the house as long as my son needs care, which will be forever, I guess. I don't mean to sound trapped, I know I could leave, but it's my privilege and responsibility to care for him as long as I'm able. It's so complicated, she messed up so much for so many people.